Okay, good morning, everybody. Thank you for coming for this terrific police, emergency service, and firefighting program that our chief of police and our police department are putting on. My name's Karen Bramblett. I'm the chair of Plymouth Council, and I'm here with my other council members, Lynn Vicio, who's the vice chair, Aaron Nelson, who represents Ward 4, and Kristen Frederick Leonard, who represents Ward 2. Oh, and Lynn also represents Ward 3, and I am at large, so I've got all y'all and me in my jurisdiction. This is going to be a terrific presentation, and you will feel so empowered and reassured living here in Plymouth. We hear about the terrible things that happen, emergencies like that horrible industrial fire over in Abington, a jet plane landing on a residential street in Philadelphia. We hear about retail thefts and things like that. But I know, because I get to see it up close, and I think y'all do too through the news, just how hard our police and emergency personnel work to keep us safe. And the chief is going to present some amazing programs and statistics that he has developed, and even to improve our quality of life, like addressing the amount of traffic. Well, the amount we can't do much about. The roads are free and open, but keeping it safe and what they call traffic calming. So I welcome all of you. I know you're going to learn a lot today, and I really, really appreciate Chief John Mirciotis for putting all of this together, and I hope it becomes an annual event. I know with the Chief's energy, it probably will. Thank you. Lynn, you want to say a few words?
Sure. I just wanted to add that as a council, we could not be happier to support this event, but also to be in partnership with our police department and all of our emergency responders. I mean, the group across the board is the most forward-thinking, open-minded, compassionate, and community-focused group we could ever imagine working with. So we're just pleased for this partnership. We're pleased for the partnership going forward. And as Karen said, I think the chief has an amazing message to share today. And we're also here if you have any questions specifically for council.
Anyone else? No? Okay, I'm going to let the chief take it away now. Thank you, Chief.
All right, thank you. I just want to make it clear that what we're doing here is a community town hall. It's not just about the police. This is interactive to ask questions. There are members in the audience right now that are leaders in the community that have initiatives, whether it's social justice, whether it's from the school district, whether it has to do with our unhoused population, and we encourage them to ask questions and to come up and to speak on some of these issues. So this is very interactive, very low key, and there's food back there, so feel free to go and eat. You can bring it in here. I also want to make it clear that this is a group effort. This is your emergency service providers. It's the police in conjunction with both of our fire companies, Harmonville and Plymouth, and we have members and leadership from those organizations here, as well as Plymouth Ambulance. We are brothers and sisters. This is how we operate with each other. We work together every single day. We do want to do this every March. This is every May rather. This is the first time we've done it, because that happens to be the month in which they appreciate police and fire and medics. And we just thought it'd be a nice time to go over what we've done the previous year, what we're looking forward to in the new year. And I also encourage, I don't want to put them on the spot, but any of our members of our emergency services also to interact, to come up and speak. If they don't, please visit their tables and ask them questions, because they have a lot going on also. They have a lot of needs, and they provide a lot to all of us. So there's a lot that we can learn from them. And in the coming years, next year, we're also going to start, since we're expanding our emergency management blueprint, we're going to also acknowledge that here, which is really all of us together. But it's a little bit different, where we all take a piece, and it's essentially what we can do for the community, more so than as individuals. Sometimes there's things that are bigger than all of us, and we need to work together to get them done. So that's something we take seriously, and we're going to acknowledge that also in the coming year. So I just wanted to speak a little bit to what we did in 2024, acknowledge some of the challenges, the possibilities. As you can see here, we've developed a partnership with many of our stakeholders in the community. Some of these had to do with our swelling unhoused community, and as a result, we strengthened our partnership with CARSI, which is a movement that started for social justice, and they actually moved on toward helping members of the community. Church on the Mall has been a big part of that, and after CARSI saw how much it took with the unhoused community, they actually splintered off so they could handle both their initial mission and then also help serve the unhoused community by developing TLC for the People. And both of those groups are here today, and again, they might want to speak to the types of things that they're doing and some of the needs that they have. They might also appreciate having those are my grandkids that just passed by. So I have to be on my best behavior. They might have needs also. They're always looking for volunteers, so let's keep that in mind. They could use help. It's a hard job. Going along with that, I mean, I don't think people realize, for instance, and we're going to go through that, the issue we have with the unhoused here. Now, the unhoused aren't the issue, but servicing their needs, helping them. Just in 5 years, our calls for service to the unhoused have increased by over 500%. That's significant. That's significant. Ever since about COVID, and there's been other communities where haven't been as receptive to the unhoused, and they've been pushing them out of their municipalities, and they've been looking for places. We have the bike path where people congregate. We have certain businesses where they congregate. There's needs. Not this past winter, but the winter before, over one weekend, 2 unhoused individuals froze to death. I mean, that's inhuman that those kind of things should be happening. And of all people, our emergency services, our community organizations have to take this upon ourselves. We can't wait for big government to take care of it all the time, because either it's not prioritized, the money's not there, but this is in our backyard. These are our friends and neighbors. These are our residents. Whether they own a house or not, they're our responsibility. So that's a big thing about what we've been doing, and a lot of the things that go along with that, and we'll talk more about that. Part of what we've done to address these kind of problems is, I shouldn't even say problems, challenges, is we started a social services program in our department, a co-responder. And we just pretty much got that going for the last 2 months. And in that 2 months, having somebody working in a part-time capacity, they've already followed up with almost 250 incidents that have come in, whether they had to do with the unhoused, whether they had to do with any mental health consumers, whether they had to do with people that have a drug addictive challenges. So 250 follow-ups working part-time in 2 months. First of all, it shows you how many incidents there are that need help and how hard some of these people that we have are working. So this has been a terrific program already in only 2 months. Some of the things that we've done here that I think are impressive, that I wanted to make sure the community is aware of, is our recruitment drive for people to work here, for our police officers. Across the country, it's been difficult to find people. Since the last 4 or 5 years, the interest in policing has dwindled. There's been social issues that have pushed some police away from their communities. But this has always been a very accepting community. And we haven't had that problem here, but we take it very seriously. And we recruit heavily, and we look for the right type of people. And in our view, the right type of people are looking over a diverse swath of those that are out there and available. You know, you want to reflect the community that you police. So in this last this last drive, we had over 450 applicants, which is significant when some of our neighbors had no more than 15 or 20. People are impressed by what we have to offer, and we also make it clear that we are investing in the people that come here. We are glad to have qualified, diverse people come to our agency. One of the things I'm proud of is that police testing traditionally draws only about 10% from women applicants and minority applicants. We made a concerted effort to attract some of these candidates, and when we gave our test, we saw that we had 30% in both of those groupings take our test. The 30% might not seem like enough, and it probably isn't, but it was triple what you see nationwide. So we were happy to see that, and you'll see that reflected in our department. We have a very diverse department. Just in the last 10 officers that we hired, 5 of them are minorities, 3 of them are women. That's significant over recent, and these are still the top candidates. These are not, we don't reach down for somebody just because of their ethnicity or their sex. We look for top people, but the fact that we had more qualified people with diversity gave us the opportunity to capitalize on that. And that means the whole community gets to capitalize on that. Some of the other things that we've been doing this past year, we're looking toward the future, is technology, a drone program for the safety of our residents. There's things that we've found that we can use our drones for and develop a blueprint for lost children, for dementia sufferers, suspect tracking, as well as mapping technology, crash diagramming, crime scene schematics, and emergency management support. So this is an area that we're trying to enhance right now. And again, I think it's something that absolutely will benefit our community. Another way that we've continued to fortify our partnerships in the community has been through our dedication to community programs. So we've in an effort to escalate or to address escalating concerns of reckless drivers in our school zones, we've initiated our Cops Guarding Stops program, which has to do with following school buses, getting on the school buses, developing a relationship with the kids, and keeping those bus stops safe for the drivers that don't stop for them. And as to our organizational goals for the new year, we are prioritizing community service despite the escalating demands on our resources, which I'll show you as well. Some of the things that we've seen grow here in the last 5 years, and I'll give a better explanation why, are calls for service. Calls for service in this community over the last 5 years have increased by 51%. Criminal arrests have increased by 117%. And I always wanted to make it clear to the community, we don't look to arrest people. We have a lot of diversionary programs here. Our youth aid panel, we look for ways that we can find alternatives for kids. We don't want to have to arrest kids. Most of the time it doesn't rise to that level, so we look for other ways to do that. We certainly don't criminalize anything with the unhoused. The fact that you don't have a residence is not a crime. The fact that you might be drug addicted and need help isn't in itself a crime. The fact that a lot of the people that we come across suffering from these things, there's mental illness. That is not a crime. These are all service-related problems that we need to address. We're addressing with our co-responder, but certainly not through arrest. So we make a point not to do that, and I'm going to show you how we've addressed marijuana usage in the township. In fact, this past year, we went without any arrest for marijuana usage. Some of it was addressed through a citation, a minor citation of $50. The others were warnings. Because we're also aware that the community is moving away from that. The state and the nation is moving away from criminalizing minor drug usage. So with that, why have we increased arrests by 117%? And we'll look at that because it mostly has to do with our commercial makeup of the township. And with that, our retail thefts have increased by 332%. So it shows where these issues are coming from. So if we go along here, I'm going to show you some of the things from this past year. So for the state of the township, it gives you an idea of officer activity, how it's increased so much in the last 5 years. These are basically calls for service, what our patrol officers do. What has been noteworthy, because we keep a lot of statistics, we do a lot of evidence-based policing, is going into 1/3 of this new year, we've already determined, and we've been pretty accurate for the last 5 years, that our calls for service in 2025 are going to be about 24,500. That's 5,000 more calls for service than in the previous year. So again, things are increasing. A lot of that has to do with what we can do for the community, but a lot of it also has to do with essentially this commercial district. I mean, just recently, people again don't realize this. We have a very nice small hometown feel, but our detectives were tracking stolen cars from our businesses that were being taken to the docks in the city, that were being loaded and taken to Somalia. And it's very difficult once they get on those ships to do anything about it. But you see how Plymouth Township isn't just little old Plymouth Township in Montgomery County. We're part of a much bigger picture, and these types of things don't just happen in major cities. They're happening out here as well. In fact, in this particular case, they were targeting insurance auto auctions across the country, and one of which we have. So you don't think like that, but we had a significant amount of these vehicles, and that's where we followed them to. We followed the paperwork, and we followed the people, we did search warrants. So a lot of what we do, you might not even see day to day. It's something that you don't really anticipate. UCR Part 1 crimes essentially are your serious crimes. The FBI, they categorize by Part 1 and Part 2. Serious crimes and less serious crimes are Part 2. So you can see how we've jumped and we continue to climb in serious crime. Again, the reason I show these things is because anybody can look these up, but I want to be able to explain them. Serious crimes don't mean that you are living in a violent area with robberies and car thefts going on. You live in a very safe area. Most of these serious crimes have to do with some of the commercial businesses here. A lot of people, when they hear retail theft or shoplifting, they're thinking about kids stealing candy bars or t-shirts. Some of the cases that our detectives have worked on, in fact, we just discussed it the other night, one of our detectives was able to get some money back for an elderly woman who lost $10,000 in a scam. And when we talked about some of the other cases he's worked, one of the other cases, he was trying to retrieve $340,000 from a woman who lost her life savings in one of these scams. So when we talk about serious crimes, you can see that it's not just minor shoplifting. It rises to absolutely felony levels. You can also see with our Part 2 crimes, we initially rose and then we've maintained that same status there. And these are less serious crimes. But still, if you look at them, there's still sex crimes and there's still vandalism, forgery. So there's still significant things that we deal with. And as you can see, our criminal arrests, you can see where when we do these, we can go out 10, 20 years, and we have for our own purposes, and we were pretty much in that 700 to 800 range for decades. But all of a sudden, right around the time COVID came, then there were some social injustice situations happening nationwide, and things changed in the country. And we saw that more so than our neighbors did, and I'm going to show you about that also. Probably because we're a predominantly commercial area. Some of the nice things about Plymouth is that people come to Plymouth because of everything we have. I mean, people like to come here to shop. People like to come here to visit. People like to come here to work. But with that, there's also a criminal element because there's so many nice things here. People come here to try and take that. If you live in a bedroom community, there's really nothing there. It's a small Wawa or a small pizza shop. So it's not because we have a problem. It's because we live in a very nice area. We're just trying to protect the nice things you have. It's just as if if you had a Lamborghini parked outside your car as opposed to my Ford Escort, somebody's probably going to come to your house to take your Lamborghini, not my Ford Escort. So you have nice things, you have to expect that that's part of the problem. And of course the retail thefts, you can see how that's skyrocketed. And this is definitely a challenge to the business community. They've been very frustrated, especially with some of the newer laws where, in other states at least, they decriminalized up to $700 of these thefts so that essentially people could come, take, and they could walk out. And it frustrates them. And we've been lucky that businesses haven't just left here because we've made a concerted effort to address these problems. And you're going to see later how we have passed by another community here, King of Prussia, that has the second largest mall in the country. We've surpassed them for retail thefts, which is unheard of. But again, that's why we do the statistical analysis to see where our problems are and what we can do about them.
Is this a good time for a question?
Absolutely, anytime.
So for the retail thefts to escalate like that, are the store's loss prevention efforts increasing? Because how are you getting all these reports unless they're doing something on that end?
Unfortunately, some of the stores are doing a lot. What we decided was that we have to develop a better partnership with a lot of these stores. So what we did was we went to some of the bigger stores, the Targets, the Best Buy, Lowe's, the ones that are having the biggest problem. And we would find out who their loss prevention person is, and a lot of times it's somebody who goes from store to store, might only visit there once a week, once a month. Some of them don't put a lot into it. But what we tried to do is we would assign them a specific detective. So we'd say, so that we have continuity, so that we can piece these things together. Because oftentimes it's the same people or the same groups coming. Again, sometimes you think, oh, we live next to Norristown or the city, and that's not why it's happening. There are retail theft gangs that come from South America that come here. They send people here, they hit all these areas, and then boom, they go back, and they're done, and there's nothing you can do about it. You can't get them. Or they'll come with a group of a dozen people, almost like locusts, go into a store, grab a bunch of stuff, tens of thousands of stuff, and leave. And if you get one or two of them, well, once they get out on bail, you've lost them anyway, and the rest of them, they're all gone. So it makes it difficult. So we try and piece it together so we actually track them. We had a meeting here for a group in the township, a development, a neighborhood that was being targeted, high-end homes, and we showed how we could track through the license plate readers, because we not only see ours, we see all of them across the country. And we could show how people from South America came in, and they came in at Texas, and they rented a car in Texas, and here they were going from state to state, and they had it mapped out what neighborhoods they wanted to hit until they got to us, and then they would go to New York that's where they would give back the car, and they would get on a plane and they would leave. So by doing this, we can get a better idea, like here they come, here's this group, and we coordinate with other states and other agencies to do it. So again, it's very complex. It's in the tens and sometimes hundreds of thousands of dollars that we're dealing with.
So you kind of know they're coming.
Sometimes we know, at least we know because we all coordinate, and not just the police departments. Now we have, let's say, a place like Target coordinating. One store or one state will call the other and say, we just got hit by these people, because they'll have pictures and everybody's got cameras. We've identified them, get ready, look for them, that type of thing. And then we communicate this, and a lot of times we can grab some of these people and get them. Again, the problem is oftentimes is that once they get out on bail, they disappear. And nobody is going to extradite, especially for that kind of, from South America. They're just not going to do it. But that's the type of problem that we see. Those are the big problems we have. The little ones aren't as concerning. And a lot of times the stores, especially with the smaller ones, the reason that it gets problematic is because they've pretty much thrown up their hands. If they try and grab somebody, the person goes down and now they sue the store. So of course the company doesn't want that. That's a bigger loss than otherwise. Or their people get assaulted, the person fights back. Well, the company's trying to protect their people. They say, don't put your hands on them, just call the police. Or they don't want the police there, because if somebody goes shopping and they always see that at Ulta, there's always a police car there's always a problem, they're like, I'm not going there anymore. I'll go somewhere else. And they certainly don't want that. So they're put in a very hard position. So we're constantly changing the way we do things to try and truly help them, not just stop the theft, but we don't want to hurt their business by being there all the time. That's why we have them communicating with our detectives more so, because it's plain clothes, it's behind the scenes, and we try and do it like that. And of course, now we come to our issues with the unhoused. You can see how that has skyrocketed over the last few years. And again, we've been charting this, and with 1/3 of the year under our belt, and we've been pretty spot on. We're showing that we're going to have over 200 calls for service to the unhoused. This is not how many unhoused people we have here, because oftentimes we go for the same people that have just need help. Just because they needed help one day doesn't mean that a couple of days later they're not in the same situation. And unfortunately, our officers weren't always able to do enough for them because we didn't have the resources. So this co-responder has helped in a great deal, and our partnerships with CARC and with TLC have helped a great deal because we communicate with each other. How can we help you? What do you need from us? And it's been a lot better here. I know that the shelter, the Code Blue shelter that was established, I think there's only one of two in Montgomery County, and they're both at churches. One's in Lansdale and one is here. And if I misspeak, I would please feel free to.
Can we come up?
Absolutely, come on. This is Gail Plant.
Hi everyone. I have a little background today. So actually this last year, so there was only two or three Code Blue shelters, but this year we actually had 10 up and running, and that's because of the need. So every year the county does what they call a pit count, which is point in time, where it's a one night, and they go around either at the shelters or outdoors at encampments, and they count the number of unhoused. And just know that that number is probably 50% off. So this year's point of count was about 500, but realize that that number is only the people that you can see. So there's people who live in their cars, they're considered unhoused. There's people living in hotels, they're considered unhoused because that's still temporary housing and not guaranteed. So those are the numbers. And yesterday we had our annual Code Blue wrap up and some numbers. And these numbers, I'm presenting these numbers because there's a lot of people who believe that the unhoused are only those that are addicted to drugs, or only those who have mental illnesses. And so these numbers that I'm presenting give you an idea of situations that may occur. And so there were 50 across the 10 Code Blue shelters. There were 50 reported incidents that required assistance from outside agencies, and those outside agencies are normally police, the EMS, mobile crises, and our street outreach team. And so among those, 13 required police intervention. Most were related to intoxicated guests and having to remove unwelcome guests from the shelter. And I'll stop there for a second. And so I can only speak for our shelter. So at our shelter, we have rules. And we have people in the audience who volunteer with us. And so we are enforcers of those rules. And so if you don't follow the rules, then you can't stay at our shelter. And you get three strikes, depending on the specific issue, infraction. Obviously, drug is you don't get 3 strikes. If you do drugs, you cannot stay at our shelter because we have signs posted. Every person has to sign off that they agree to the code of conduct every single time they stay. If a person stays every night, we had 104 Code Blue declarations this year. If that person stayed every night, they have to sign off every single time they come to say that they agree, because it's a reminder to them that these are the rules if you want to stay here. 33 instances required EMS intervention. We had probably 5 of those 33 instances. And for the most part, they were all due to serious illnesses related to people having to sleep outside. We had 2 people had strokes, and then we had one incident where a person fell and broke their nose because of a prior knee injury. So, and then 4 instances required mobile crisis, and mobile crisis intervention is mostly for when someone's in a mental health crisis. And so, overall, intervention was approximately 4%. That's a very low number. And this data is important because it just demystifies the myth that all unhoused people are drug addicts and have mental health issues. So I wanted to present those numbers. Those were fresh. We just received them yesterday, so wanted to.
Thank you.
Gail, can you give a category of unhoused, like what their situations are? You know, that some are mental health, some are whatever, because it's more than the 2 categories.
Correct. So I would say that there aren't really categories because everybody has a story. Everybody's story is different, and I can give example if you like. So I'll give 2 examples. One example we had, and this was actually Plymouth Police brought her because the hotel kicked her out. She was 81 years old, and she could barely walk. And the officer brought her in, and I was like, "Are you bringing her to the shelter?" I was confused. Like, why is this 81-year-old woman unhoused? Why aren't we taking care of our senior? So that's a situation. And it turned out after investigation, and she told us her story, it turned out that there was some elderly fraud by her granddaughter, basically taking her money. And so therefore she had no money. She was put out of her house and then had to stay in a hotel and then ended up being put out of the hotel. And I'll go on the flip side. We had a gentleman that was 20 years old who was put out by his parents because he was gay. So the incidents and the people is all, it spawns, we hear and listen to the stories from our teams, and we report the different things because it's important to know that it's not the mental health, only the mental health and drug addiction.
Thank you, appreciate it.
I'm gonna pull this. It's not. I don't want to be. It's not.
Oh, got you. I'm just trying to speak into
So that gives you a better idea of the types of things, we all deal with. In fact, it was eye-opening to me in talking to Gail and some of her people that oftentimes the unhoused have jobs. It's not like even that they're unemployed. It's a shame, so they have to decide whether they're going to have a roof over their head or they're going to have food to eat. So, you hear people say, "Oh, that's a bum." That's not what this is. It's people that are hurting, that there's limited resources. So these types of things, I'm glad to hear that there's more shelters and there's more movement. I know they're working to even get bigger facilities, but you can see that it's a growing issue in this community is all I can speak to. And along with that, we find that there are other issues. Instances of drug use. Oftentimes we'll find more of that when we encounter people. And again, we're not looking to criminalize. Sometimes these people need medical help. Sometimes they need to be paired up with a facility. And we were making headway, and this is pretty much countywide, but all of a sudden we're back on the upswing again. And it's not just for the unhoused community, but I think we've seen our numbers grow as our unhoused community has grown. Because sometimes, again, you have limited resources. I mean, living in your car or living out on the street, this is one of the least of their problems. But you want to address it. Same thing with mental health involvement. It stayed fairly consistent, but we did see a rise there. And oftentimes we deal with people that need services and we can't find them services. This co-responder program has been terrific for something like that because they're relentless. They do find somebody, someplace. They brought county people into our building, had meetings with them, and they don't stop. And if we have to pick these people up and take them to an appointment to get them there, we do so. So, again, it's just one more thing that we've seen on the rise with the unhoused community. Now, these types of things we like to present. We put these in our annual report just to give people an idea. There's various things, but here's a an analysis of where the people that we wind up arresting, the offenders, where they come from. And again, it's just for us to get a better idea. Do we have a problem here? Do we have a problem elsewhere? And we find basically there's a transient community, so where the location, the home of where a lot of the people that we arrest are coming from other areas. But it gives you a breakdown just to give us a better idea. Again, the information is always useful. Here's some other part of the information. I told you about our marijuana contacts. We realized that the laws have been changing. They continue to change. The community's feeling toward marijuana is more of maybe a nuisance when it's out in the open as opposed to a crime. You know, we had gotten rid of units that we had when I came on as chief. We got rid of certain plainclothes units to address this because we didn't feel that it was, first of all, we didn't feel it was serving the best interests of the community. There weren't really criminal issues. And our time was better spent. But here you can see of all last year, we had 0 criminal complaints as far as this was concerned. And the reason was, we're not talking about somebody that's driving around with bales of marijuana in their trunk that are, you know, trying to sell. We're talking about people that have for themselves. So we've addressed it through citations and through warnings. And even the citations that we did it through our town council, where we have an ordinance. And we even kept the fines moderate. They were $50 fines. We weren't looking to hurt somebody with a $500 fine and then cause all additional problems. It was basically meant, these are not the types of things we should be doing out in the open. These are not the types of things you should be doing while you're driving because it's dangerous. That's what we were trying to address. And I think we've been successful with this. This is something else, again, we just like to be transparent, and whenever there's an interest in any kind of information, we make sure that we put it out there. So we've been keeping a track of our traffic stops, how many citations we give to each different type of group, whether it's Caucasian, African American, Hispanic. So this kind of information is out there. The thing is, we do check this to make sure, are we on the right track? Do we see problems? Do we see that there's a higher rate of citations for a certain ethnicity? And if so, why? And we found that everything has been appropriate as far as numbers go. And that information is out there. It might be a little bit difficult for you to see, but it's out there on our annual report. We break it down even further, whether somebody was stopped, whether they were cited, or whether they were given a warning. It just gives you an idea, is that same level of fairness being used for everybody. And again, from what we've seen, we don't see a problem. But we also want the community to be able to see it. So if there's something that they feel should be addressed, that's who we work for. But I do feel confident that as we've been tracking these numbers, we feel confident that we've been doing the right thing.
Chief,
Yes.
those numbers, I'm sure you know how many are actual residents or just passing through?
On these numbers, we don't. I'm sure that you probably could find out, but we also try with whatever resources we have. It would take a lot more. We'd have to go into each citation to see. But we have made sure, and I think the state has mandated it anyway at this point, to put down a person's race and sex and so forth for tracking purposes. We try and get as much information into our, for us it's called CODI, it's our report writing, but it's also where we access all our data. So we try and have our people put as much information in there so that we can extract it. But getting people's residence would be much more cumbersome. It makes it difficult, especially if you're a smaller agency.
I just wondered, because we're right here at a major interchange of what the pass-through was.
Right. No, I understand, and just based on how many residents we have here, which is, you know, fairly low for this area, and what our transient traffic is coming through, you're talking hundreds of thousands of people come through. Based on that, you would imagine, and I know that's not concrete evidence, that most of our interactions are coming from either people passing through, visiting, working, that type of thing. Also, just as part of our traffic calming, I know we just had a town hall on it. This is something that the police department, that council, that our manager have all prioritized. It's one of the things that we see in this community a lot of, is congestion, is traffic, or traffic-related safety concerns. So one of the things here is our traffic details. You can see that from the time I became chief at least, we did prioritize, and you can see how those numbers increased so much. And as much as they've increased there, it's been about a 83% increase over that 5-year span. We take a look at 1 year to the next. So if you look at the first quarter of the year in 2024 and compare it to the first quarter in 2025, we've increased our traffic details, which is setting up and actually addressing a certain area, by 836% from last quarter of last year, first quarter of last year to first quarter of this year. So I hope that shows our commitment to the whole idea of slowing people down. You know, our biggest concern is in the neighborhoods. I mean, it's tough on Germantown Pike and Ridge Pike. I mean, we still slow people down, want to keep people safe. But we all live in the neighborhoods. We've got concerns, people going through stop signs or speeding. You know, we've got kids, we have animals. It's a quality of life issue. So we've absolutely prioritized that, and we're addressing it now more so than ever. And one of the big things that we do here, and I talked about, is our community outreach. And this just gives you an idea of a lot of the things we do. We have a lot to do with our kids in the schools. Our Citizens Police Academy has been growing. Our last class had 15 members, where we actually had a wait list for the first time. We're very popular. So this is something that we continue to do, and people really seem to enjoy it. It's informative. It's things that they didn't realize, didn't think of. We get involved with our churches and faith-based organizations. Again, a lot of the stuff that we do is with the kids. Plymouth Township Day, which is coming up, so we hope everybody comes. That's in 2 more weeks. Our cop camp has been very popular. That's been going on since I was a detective, so I can't even, that's like 3 decades, I think, at this point. Our little leagues and Little League football. We also do, we get out there in the community, coffee with a cop. This is at the Giant. We do it at the Target, and we try and get out and just interact with people. Just hijack them for a cup of coffee and some conversation. You can see over the holidays, for Halloween, we deal with some of our, brother and sister organizations. Laura House is important to us, so we always make sure that we keep that relationship going. We make sure we incorporate not just the school district, but some of the Catholic schools in our area. And of course, food drive for the community, for the unhoused, for people in need. So now, here's something that I wanted to give you an idea when I talk about some of the issues we have here and that are particular to Plymouth Township. So I try to assess our needs to surrounding municipalities. So Part 1 and Part 2 offenses, I explained, Part 1 is serious, Part 2 is less serious, but together they constitute your crime rate. And you can see here, our crime rate is consistent with that of Norristown, more so than Upper Merion, who has a bigger township and has, I thought, a bigger commercial blueprint than we did. And then when you go to the other communities, and the reason for this is, when I talk about bedroom communities, there isn't that business. Now, again, is this a crime-ridden township, a violent township? Absolutely not. You can see that for yourselves. You live here, you shop here, you go through here. That's not what this is about, but that's why I like to explain it. This has to do with the activity going here. It's a popular place, it has a lot to offer, but with that, these are some of the challenges that come with that. You can also see with our arrests, which surprised me when you see the arrests, how they bypass by far, almost 3 times that of Norristown, more so than Upper Merion, and far exceed our neighbors. And our neighbors have larger areas than we do. Whitpain is larger, White Marsh is larger. and yet they don't have those same problems. And for the most part, it's because people travel through there and come to Plymouth, or people use the vast highways that we have here, and it just leads them into Plymouth. I mean, I got hired here in January of '89, and I remember an article at the end of '88 that said, now that the Blue Route has just finally been completed and open, Plymouth will be the new hub of Montgomery County. And they were so right, because you can see it. It just, all roads lead to Plymouth. Again, not a bad thing, but there's challenges that come with that. This was surprising to me, because we keep growing every year, and this was the first year that we bypassed Upper Merion. And that surprises me, because the King of Prussia Mall is second only to the Mall USA, I think, in Minnesota. It's significant, especially when, again, you see some of our neighbors. That's what takes up a lot of our time. Because it's not just a call for service, it's not just going there, it's the investigation, it's the follow-up. When I tell you we're tracking cars to Somalia, or we're looking at gangs coming from South America, it's time, it's effort, it's resources.
Chief, with, I guess I'm a shopper, so I go to all the malls.
Mm-hmm.
But how is it, is Upper Merion handling their retail thefts differently or something? Because that is a huge shopping area.
It is. I don't know the reasons. Again, I've tried to take some educated guess. Some of them have been, a lot of those stores are high-end, just like some of our stores. Do they not want that bad publicity and they let it go and they don't call? That's always possible. A lot of it is the confusion. I don't go anywhere near King of Prussia Mall because it takes me half an hour to find my way out of there. So, is it possible some of those people just, you can't find them because you get lost in there?
There's another reason. They have their own security in a lot of
Yeah,
those
that's
stores.
what I'm saying. Yeah, high-end stores have their own security, and they only allow a certain number of people in the store at a time.
Right.
So, yeah, there could be various reasons there. I know I didn't include it here because, unfortunately, the county has yet to come up with the statistics. We have it for ourselves, is arraignments. And arraignments are serious crimes where you have to go in front of a judge. So they constitute a serious crime in this state as a misdemeanor 1 or above, which would be felony 3, 2, and 1. We, for the last 3 years, have had the second highest numbers in the county, only behind Pottstown, which means we have the second amount of serious crimes in the county, unless they're being dealt with in a different way. So if security is dealing with it in a different way, and they're trespassing somebody from the store as opposed to doing a criminal arrest, again, a lot of times they don't want people to see the police there because then it's going to keep people from coming there. That's understandable too. The thing is, it's a revolving door because a lot of the criminals that we've seen now are repeat offenders. The stores will even tell us, these people were just in here yesterday, or you just arrested them this afternoon, and they've been released on bail, and they come back. It's difficult. I'm sorry, did you have a question?
Yeah, I just also think about King of Prussia. All their shopping centers, it's much harder and a much longer way to get out and get on a highway. Whereas the Metroplex, you can get on 476 from the Metroplex, the road to access the Metroplex. Same thing with the Plymouth Meeting Mall. It's a lot easier to get stuck in the KOP Mall with how it's set up.
It is, and that's true. That's been one of our problems. We don't chase people. If we're chasing you, we chased somebody half a year ago because they had kidnapped somebody in Philadelphia from a carjacking, a 14-year-old girl, and that we did participate in because that had to do with somebody's life and safety. We don't chase people if they stole a car. We don't chase people if they steal clothes because we're not going to risk anybody's safety, including the people that did the crime. We see these people sometimes, when I say these people, the people that commit these offenses, leave the Metroplex, go onto the Blue Route, and if they see a police car behind them, at least to attempt to pull them over, you see clothes being tossed out of the car on the Blue Route, and then we're done, and they keep going. But it's true, it's very easy access. You come out of the Plymouth Meeting Mall, you can jump on the Turnpike or the Blue Route. So, and we know that. And you know what? We're not going to jeopardize anybody's safety for that. You do the best you can. We use the traffic cameras that we have, the cameras in the stores. it's follow-up, and it's a lot of work. But a lot of times you can see, especially if it's a repeat customer, or you got a picture of the tag, and you say, oh, there's been times where we say, we see that tag keep hitting the license plate readers every morning at like 8:15 on East Main Street. So we figured out, all right, these people, and they stop in that area. So we figured that they're stopping for a cup of coffee at the Wawa. So we set up there, and they come there, and then we arrest them for these other crimes. But that's the technology part of it, and it helps us.
But those are the people that got away, so they're not in that number, right? The people who got away.
They
These are
get-
the people who are, you caught, right?
Oh yeah, no, these are just the arrests that we made. Yeah, this is not the ones, and the majority get away. I mean, that's just the way it is. It's either they're not reported to us for one reason or another, or we can't find them, or we can't extradite them, because it would have to be tens of thousands of dollars for the district attorney to say, yes, we'll put 2 people on a plane and go down there and bring them back here. It's got to make financial sense when you're dealing with a whole county. So here's just a little bit of a look ahead, the things that we're concentrating on right now. So like I told you before, we're really concentrating on our emergency management blueprint. We really want to strengthen that. We think that's better for the community. We think that's more efficient for all of our emergency services partners. We already work together, but we're making it even more organized and stronger. And again, that's good for all of us. As part of that, we're developing our drone program. It goes along with technology. Our manager, Matt West, is very big on technology. I'm a paper and pencil kind of guy. He's been dragging me kicking and screaming.
We agree.
But you know what? It's a good thing, and when you look into these things, you see how much they can do, how much more they can do for how much less. It's a lot. And you'll see these types of things. You will see our drones when you go to Plymouth Township Day, for instance. It's not meant to scare anybody, but it's an eye in the sky. It's a big blueprint. We've had kids that have gone missing temporarily. We've had people that get hurt. It just gives us a chance to see, oh, okay, there's that person, or gives us a bigger view, fewer people to deal with these situations, and we cover more ground. Traffic calming, the township has taken this seriously, so if we've got a very good system in place. We've got a new program that we use, Urban SDK, that targets exactly the worst times of day of week in the certain areas, so we can specifically concentrate our efforts. When somebody complains that I have speeders on my street, we can go into the program and we can access that most of the people are speeding on Tuesdays at 4 p.m. So if we really want to make an impact and we want to use whatever limited resources we have, that's when we'll hit it to get the biggest bang for our buck. So that type of thing. It's technology. Our social service liaison has been terrific. Like I said, it's only 2 months of the year. You have 250 follow-ups. That's incredible. And she loves her job. She's enthusiastic. She's not just there for the people in the community. She's been there for our officers as well, helping them with any issues they may have. So it's been a terrific program, one that we look forward to continuing. And of course, our partnership with the Colonial Schools. We talked about cops guarding stops on the buses. We talk about, well, I didn't talk about it, but we've Jenny Lynn, our community policing officer, has been developing a anti-bullying program that she's coordinated with the schools. So it's made our relationship with the kids better. We've gotten into the schools more, and we're targeting issues that really need to be addressed, which is basically the safety of our kids. And then one thing that I've been harping on all along is our emergency services team, all these people that you see here. I mean, I'm the one up here talking because none of these guys will come up here, even though I keep encouraging them. But I like to say that I speak for all of them because we communicate all the time. We understand that we're all there for each other. In fact, when we talk about emergency services and a lot of the issues that we have, we as police understand that for the most part, we're subordinate to our brothers and sisters in emergency service because most of the issues that we have, big scale, we're going to be fires, or going to be things where we need our medics for bad car accidents, or God forbid, a problem with a plane or a train. So we all have to know how to work together, put egos aside, let the professionals, the ones that know what they're doing, take the lead, and we're all about that, and we're making it even better with our push to make a more solid emergency management plan. And then we always end on the note remembering our brother Brad, who died defending this community. Is there anybody that has questions, or anybody that would like to come up and expand on any of the issues we talked about? Anybody from emergency services? Chief, did you want to say a few words?
Yeah, I can probably speak a little bit on the fire and that side of things. Well, first off, thank you for having us today, and thank you to our Township Council and our Township Manager for all the support that they give to both the fire and emergency medical services in the Township. Both your fire companies are made up by what are called combination fire companies. So that means that you have a combination of career and volunteer firefighters. So basically Monday through Friday, you are serviced by both career and volunteers. And then nights and weekends is a full volunteer staff of fire services. The ambulance is serviced 24/7 by career and supplemented by volunteers. And all of us are just seeing, as the chief is with his statistics, we are seeing a big increase in all of our statistics as well. Calls for service. The ambulance sees a tremendous amount of calls for service compared to what the fire does. But we have set record numbers every year since COVID has started. Even since it's been done, we are still setting record numbers in our responses to the township and to our surrounding municipalities. I would tell you that both all your fire companies and your ambulance are top notch, and I'll echo what the chief says. We work together day in and day out. There's not a week that I probably don't email John or John doesn't email me, and we have a good open line of communication. So on behalf of all the emergency services, again, we'd just like to thank all the support that we get from the township, our community members, because we wouldn't be able to do this without you guys. So, and we always are open to new volunteers. So if anybody would like to, stop by one of the booths, take something home. If you have a family member that may be interested in volunteering, both fire companies and the ambulance are always looking for volunteers. So we'd love to have you. So thank you guys. Any questions on the fire or EMS? Good? Thanks, Chief.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you. If nobody else wants to come up, we're still here. We'll talk to anybody, answer questions. We have a lot of free stuff here for kids, for grandkids. A lot of food in the back, please. If you're not going to eat, take some home for lunch. Are you guys going to come up and say hello too? All right, come on. These are my grandsons, Homer and Julian. Yes. All right. Yes, please. Come over here with me.
Gail. Talking with Gail. I usually don't come up here. I'm that quiet community policing officer in the back. We have a really fantastic, on June 28th, you said, Ms. Gail?
Yes.
We are going to be partnering with Carsey for a kickball event. So it's going to be Conshohocken, us, and White Marsh, what they can do. So we're going to be putting that up again to sign up. We're going to have that so the kids can play and interact with us as officers. We did basketball last year, which was so much fun. I cannot play basketball, so it's going to be fun with kickball. But like I said, we're trying to partner a lot with the community policing, and Carsey's been great with that. But like, we love that we got Conshohocken in this year because it was so a little harder, and then White Marsh. So any ideas you have to bring me out and to go out to do more functions, please let me do that. And keep a lookout for that. I will be putting it up on Facebook soon, and we're grinding down to the end. So any other questions about Carsey's kickball event or anything? I'll be back here.
I just forgot something when I was up here to talk about, if you don't mind.
Of course.
Because I'm having some back problems right now.
Oh, okay, sure.
So if can everyone hear me? I forgot to say something important. So on Wednesday night. On Wednesday night, I attended Norristown Zoning Hearing Board. It was a marathon because it was 7 p.m. to 12:30 a.m. And the topic on the table was whether or not they would allow and zone a transitional housing. And just so you know, the difference between transitional housing and shelter is that it is temporary, but the purpose of it is to house someone 24/7 so that they have a place in transition for whatever reason they became unhoused. Helps them to transition. They anticipate that they would be there anywhere between 45 and 90 days. And the transition is transition to back to permanent housing. So that's the difference. Whereas shelter is very different. You're there for a certain period of time during the day. Because we have, right now, we only have 2 full-time shelters in the county. And that just happened this year after the only full-time shelter closed in 2022. So, and those 2 are in Pottstown and Lansdale. But the good news that I wanted to say was that they did approve it. It was a long night, but they finally got approved. This was the second hearing, and it was approved. So that will house 50 individuals for transitional housing, starting sometime potentially in early 2026 at the Human Services Building in Norristown on Fornez. So wanted to mention that because it's a good story, and it was backed by the county. It was a partnership between the county and Norristown Council and RHD, which will be the provider that will run the operations of this. So it's a good news story, and going towards that is where we really want to go, right? Ultimately, shelters are not, it's not the solution, right? The solution is housing, so that we can get all of our unhoused off the street.
First of all, that's awesome, and thank you for making this space. How much do you anticipate that will reduce the need for affordable shelter? A little, a lot?
So it's 50 beds, and again, it'll be alternate, so a little, right? Specifically, I'll say a little specifically between the shelters that we have in Plymouth and Norristown. Because again, the Pottstown transitional housing is 120 beds, I believe. So they took over the Days Inn, well not took over, but the Days Inn allowed them to lease their building for the purpose of that. So they have the hotel, and then Lansdale is much smaller. They only have 20 beds there. So it will reduce a little because, and I don't remember all the numbers off the top of my head in terms of how many. I know we had 104 nights. We had probably over. I was gonna say, we served about 1,000 people. That's why I said the pit count says 500, but really the numbers are in the thousands and growing. It's not stopping. And again, some of it's related to eviction. So this week I also was in Harrisburg talking about eviction prevention, those types of things, because people are getting evicted. We had a couple in their 70s that came to us because their landlord increased their rent by $400, in the 1 year. And they couldn't afford it. And the lady had a colostomy bag. It was very bad, right? And so these things are happening, and unless you're sometimes in it, so this is why we're looking for volunteers. We're always looking for volunteers. But unless you're in it, you don't necessarily know that, because these are not the stories that you hear. The stories that you hear are only the stories that are told about the drugs and the mental health. That's what you hear. But if you're boots on the ground, you hear those other stories. And then our goal is to try to help as much as we can with the resources that we have. Sometimes we can, sometimes we can't. As we forge more relationships, we try to help. We had a vet who was just, ecstatic that Kristen helped him fill out his paperwork. And it was just as simple as that. Can you help me fill out my paperwork? Because he was confused about how to get it figured out so that he can get the money that he needed. And Kristen helped him fill it out, and he started getting the checks. And he came back to say thank you. So,
And to offer me some of the money.
Oh.
And I politely declined.
Oh, I think,
I want to thank everybody who came, but I mostly want to thank all of these people who are professional full-time or volunteers, community members, professionals, obviously our chief of police. I can't think of a better place to live if you want to be safe and serviced than in Plymouth Township. I just want to thank all of you for coming. I've been a volunteer at the Code Blue Shelter. If you want to join me, I like the 11 p.m. to 2 a.m. and the 2 a.m. to 5 a.m. shift when everyone's asleep. But, and I can tell you, they are not all mental health and drug addiction. You know, one of the things that Gail and Kristen encourage us to do is to interact with people. They're our guests. They're not patients or anything like that. And so they will tell a story. We don't pry, we don't prod, but we listen. And I remember a woman and her mother. The woman was working full-time, took care of her mother, got evicted from her apartment because she got cancer and didn't have health care, and therefore could no longer work, take care of her mother, so they were evicted and on the streets because she had cancer. Another man was a commercial truck driver. That's great to have a CDL. You could, I mean, those jobs are great jobs to have. He had a stroke, lost his CDL, and could no longer work and take care of himself and his disabled mother. So they show up at a Code Blue Shelter. People like this don't deserve to be on the street, but they end up on the street. And I know there are a lot of people here who volunteer at the shelter, and to have this be a grassroots community effort by Gail and Kristen, to me and other people too, believe me, it's a big organization. But I am grateful to the chief for starting this, for coordinating this, for bringing everyone together, and I really look forward to what the chief said, is that this is going to become an annual event. And we're going to try to find ways to make it more kid-friendly so more people can come and their kids will have something to do. The chief has ideas like ambulances and fire trucks in the parking lot. Everyone likes those. I mean, kids.
Horse is there. There's one out there, if you want to go see it.
Okay, so grandson's there. So thank you, Chief. Thank you for all of you for coming. I really, really appreciate it.
Before we leave, I know Lori Scott, who was part of the police liaison for Carsey, had either a question or did you want to speak about something?
I just wanted to offer up opportunities for volunteers for Carsey, and you've mentioned it a few times, so I just wanted to make sure that everybody knew who Carsey is and what we do in the community. I'm not feeling like people back here with my back to you. I'm just gonna
You're welcome to come up here. Just push the wire there.
Hello, I'm Lori Scott, and I am a board member with Carsey, and I just wanted to kind of come up because Chief has mentioned Carsey numerous times, and for those who don't know who we are, what we do, just wanted to give everybody the opportunity to become familiar with the organization. We are Colonial Area Anti-Racism and Social Equity Coalition. And so we deal with the three townships, so Plymouth Township, White Marsh, as well as Conshohocken, and the community members. And we deal with issues of anti-racism and social equity. And many of the community members depend on us and our relationships with the three police departments to deal with different issues that they have with youth in schools, or different issues that they have in the community where they feel that justice wasn't delivered equitably. And so we have a number of committees. We have the policing committee, and Gail and I are co-chairs on the policing committee, and we've developed a really strong relationship with Chief. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
And we are attempting to develop relationships with Plymouth and White Marsh as well. So we have the policing committee if anyone is interested in that type of work. We work with the schools, the Colonial School District, and so we have the Youth in Schools Committee, and we're interested in things like curriculum, we're interested in things like bullying, and we're interested in just any other issues that parents or children are having within the school district. So if anybody has a passion for issues of youth in schools, feel free to come out and work with us on that. And then we have an elections committee where we help the community to understand what is coming up with local elections, national elections, and listen to what the issues of the community are so that people can kind of just determine, you know, which elected official is going to meet their needs. So if you have interest in that type of work, we welcome you to join us. What else do we have? We have operational things like marketing and, you know, just ways to get the word out, to keep our website up to date and keep our Facebook. We communicate mostly through our Facebook and social media. So if there's any social media experts out there that's looking for some volunteer work, we need you. And so just wanted to let you all know, and we'll be working with Jen on the kickball event. We had fun at the basketball event last year, and we're hoping to be able to do more of that type of thing with Plymouth as well as the other police departments. So we ask you to come on out, bring your kids, and just kind of get to know, you know, your community and your neighbors. And that's really what our goal is, to help neighbors unite and understand one another and the different cultural differences. And we do that through learning. We do that through, you know, just activities and events, just to pull people out. Because if I live next door to my neighbor and I'm going to work every day, I really don't talk to them. But if I'm out at an event somewhere, I can have an opportunity to sit down and find out who they are, and they can find out who I am, and works better that way. So come on out to any events that we have. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. If anybody else has anything, they're welcome to come up. If not, we're going to be here walking around. Please eat something or take something home. There's a lot of food there. Put it in your purse, take it home, give it to your kids, your grandkids. And there's a lot of giveaways for kids. There might not be stuff on the table too. We have hats, we have plush replicas of our canine dogs. You're welcome to any of the stuff that we have here. That's why we do it. So, and then of course all of the firefighters and our medics, they have stuff out there too, especially for the kids.